Yeah, this is part two on the Decca Heggie situation. I couldn't leave it like that. I refound the video with probably the most damning evidence of an interested party, Rhonda, speaking to a policewoman using Clare's Law to access the full background details of what has been logged so far. And apparently there's quite a bit more to come. So let's see if we can have a look at this now. Share screen. I always say that out loud to me, I don't know why. Is it this one? Decca Heggie, the proof you've been asking for. Please read description. Yeah, and over 15,000 views. So these guys are getting some traction, although some of them have been trying to get this truth out for nearly 3 years. So I will read the description because it's very useful. And you'll need a bit more patience for this video. Hope it's okay with me sharing it. True Media. The proof that Decca Heggie, self-proclaimed author, actor, and bare knuckle fighter, has been very reluctant to show an enhanced DBS to the public who have been demanding it. Today, you no longer need it, as these recordings that Heggie recorded himself show exactly what his DBS would say. Now, Heggie must have been confident enough to share his recordings with other people, because clearly it wouldn't be him that had released this unless it really is a psyop. I think he shared recordings around the place. It's not completely unusual to record every phone call. There are apps you can get. I've never got one, but there are apps you can put on a phone that will record every phone call. And a lot of mothers fighting social services or violent exes or so on will have those apps for safety and for record. But I can't see that Decca would have released, or Ron Swanson would have released them plotting to hack into James English's phone, or talking about, I'm going to make you the next big thing, you know, or, oh yeah, I had a DV charge in the summer, but it was just a COVID meltdown I had. I've got mental health. This mental health is being thrown around a lot. And I would suggest a lot of these people do have mental health issues, but it's not a get out of jail free card, nor should it be. Right. If you're concerned about anything you've seen, or more importantly, might be concerned about a partner, you have the right to ask for background details. And then there's a link to a Facebook group, Clare's Law UK. The Domestic Violence Disclosure Scheme, DVDS, also known as Clare's Law, enables the police to disclose information to a victim or potential victim of domestic abuse about their partners or ex-partners' previous abusive or violent offending. The Child Sex Offender Disclosure Scheme, sometimes called Sarah's Law, allows parents, carers, or guardians to formally ask the police for information about a person who has contact with their child or a child close to them if they're concerned the person may pose a risk. And here's the National Domestic Abuse Helpline for the UK, 0808 2000 247. And just to reiterate what many have said, as far as the old-fashioned way of you can't be a grass no matter what, you've got to, you know, never grass, that does not apply to child abuse, nor to domestic violence, in my opinion. If somebody's beating the crap out of a woman, or hurting children, or viewing kiddie porn, that's not okay. Any man worth his salt will know that that's not okay. So here, I marked this at 5:21, so we'll just play it from here. And thank you to True Media or whoever. All these videos are being shared, so I'm very disappointed that Daddygate was never. It was acknowledged to some extent by Sean Atwood, but then he retracted that and hid those videos, and then went back to the narrative of poor me, I'm just trolled, people are jealous. And he's got a new co-host called Jen, who apparently has a dominatrix page and still active on it. So why are people involved with kink communities and adult sex work and fight bare knuckle fist fighting and steroids and domestic violence? Why are certain people in these arenas being put forward to tell the truth and interview vulnerable victims and survivors? It's not right. It's just not right. And then, oh, we'll do a Netflix on it. We'll do it. We'll get a deal with Netflix. That's the other thing I forgot to say. The Axel is apparently the person that edits for Decca Heggie, but it absolutely, at one point I thought I could hear James Esposito's voice, even though the voices were disguised. It's like Daddygate cover up 2.0 to me, and it's just like, you know, I don't know who Axel is. It was very biased. It was clipped and cut and shut was the best description. And at one point I thought I actually heard James Esposito's voice, but that's just conjecture. Let's listen to some evidence.
Three failed police investigations. Three failed.
Failed, yeah.
What does that tell you?
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely saying because you're away. I'll read out what I've got. I'll do it to you just so that people can and he has a history of DV, and that's with right. He has got convictions, although I'm not saying from a lot of years ago, but I'll still tell you them anyway because you know I have to. So in 2009, that was his last conviction, and he was convicted there of threatening damage or destroying property after he had a row with his ex-wife, and he threatened to damage her house and car. Right. Yeah. And in 2007, he was convicted of assault with a police officer. So basically, information I'll give you just so when I tell you that is anything that's related to sort of violence on TV is the information.
Now, before you say, oh, if the last conviction was 2009 and we're like 12 years later, maybe he is a man who had a shady past and has turned his life around. But that's not borne out by the conversations leaked between him and Ron Swanson. That's not borne out by the version of events he gives for his relationship, 2-year relationship with vulnerable adult Geraldine. That's not borne out with 3 allegations of rape since then, which have been documented and some backed up with medical evidence and rape crisis centre involvement and surgery needed in at least one case. Is it possible that he was turned with a history of domestic violence and a rap sheet? Is it possible the police said, do you want to work for us? And we'll have your back. Nothing will stick. You'll be Mr. Teflon. It's just a possibility. I know I've got no criminal record. I've never been in prison, but I know that often criminals will be recruited to work for the police and be police informants.
And in 2006, I was convicted of sexual assault on a female. I was in a newspaper actually. That's all I really for that. I do actually know about that. Right, okay. So it was tested to one of bullets before filming it in the female toilets, and she locked herself in the toilet and produced some even some had left.
You know, the lady says there was an allegation, the police officer saying this was an allegation, but it's actually newspaper reported. And this is the other thing about being a doorman or a bouncer. It can often be a very dangerous thing if you've got questionable characters doing that job. because they can spot who's drunk and who's vulnerable, follow them to the toilets and rape them. This isn't what happened in this case, but what is reported in a media report and what the victim reported was that he grabbed her buttocks in a sexual manner and asked to F her. She was terrified and ran into a cubicle and locked it, and I think rang the police or rang some friends or so and so, but has been extremely traumatized since. Would in many situations go down as an attempted rape. It wasn't a slapping of a bottom, innocent, as far as the media write-up indicates. NFAs, people talk about NFAs, no further action. Sometimes they mean there is insufficient evidence, but other times they mean we know you did it, but we've done a deal. She's not going to speak, and you've given us what we want, so no further action.
In 2018, he was named as responsible for engaging in controlling coercive behaviour within a daily relationship.
Yeah, 2018, now we're getting warmer.
And this partner also reported that he thought that during the relationship he had raped her twice, vaginally, orally, and anally.
The anal rape sadly comes up as a feature, with one victim needing surgery afterwards.
Right. There was no further action taken. I can't tell you why. I don't know whether it's been an evidential reason or whatever. In 2013, he was named as responsible for assaulting his partner by grabbing her into the throat on one occasion, and on another occasion pushed or kicked the front door, causing it a harm at all. In 2013, it was alleged that he had engaged in a business and set fire to a dwelling house. In 2013 again, it was alleged that he had anally raped his ex-partner. In 2007, it was alleged that he pursued course of conduct which amounted to harassment after he made unsolicited phone calls of a sexual nature to a female. And in 2007, it was alleged that he had caused or incited a girl who was 11 to participate in a sexual act.
Which he later, enticing an 11-year-old, daughter of a woman he was dating, enticing an 11-year-old to participate in a sexual act, which he later clarifies in his own words as to do with masturbation. What?
What year was this? 2007. How many years am I talking about there? Can you just remember?
The woman who's phoned up for this background check is clearly traumatized by the information she's given. And if you care to follow this unfolding story, what I'm praying is that it won't be another cover-up like Daddygate with Sean Atwood riding high. I'm praying that the people will rise up and see justice done. And again, I'm not violent. I'm not advocating violence, but I am advocating justice and warning women and children, because the bigger he gets, the more groupies he'll attract. And so it will go on unless it's stopped.
83, it was on 83 last year. Yeah. 83, 2003, or 20. So he would be in the 25%.
That's a paedophile. A 25-year-old enticing an 11-year-old to participate in an act to do with masturbation. That's a paedophile. That's a nonce.
I've got the final information that says why there was no further action taken.
No further action.
What happened with this 11-year-old? Did he have sex with her? No, it wasn't sex. It said no penetrative sex acts. So I don't know if that can cover like sex, but it could have been masturbation or it could have been like oral sex. So you know, it doesn't actually.
It wouldn't be oral sex because that is regarded as penetrative. That is regarded as sex, as rape, even in Ireland. So it's most likely. Heggie himself said it was to do with masturbation, which is disgusting, between a 25-year-old and an 11-year-old daughter of somebody he was dating.
Yes, yeah. So that's all the information.
Right, I'll leave it there. Thanks for True Media for recording that, and anybody else who's recorded it. And I'll put the link to this in the video one and the link to video one in this one. And pray for justice, people. Yeah, pray for me, and come to Jesus. But mostly pray for vulnerable women and children. Angie Power Disney signing out.